Hey there, and welcome back to our channel. On this channel, we discuss mental health with a special focus on how mental health affects us as a DID system. My name is Brittany, and today I want to talk about a TikTok video that's been going around and that we stumbled across that had to do with bullying. Now, our original plan was to have the video on screen and we would react to it as we watched it. We can't quite figure out how to do that yet, and we know that by the time we figure it out, like, this video may not even be a memory anymore. That's how quickly internet moves these days. So we're just going to do it like this. Basically, the person who made the TikTok says that bullying is an important part of personal development, and they have a very interesting take on bullying, and they're not very sensitive to people who have been bullied. We're going to go ahead and put the clip that we have the most problem with here.
I do have a hot take on this. I think bullying is something that has to happen when you're young, something from like an evolutionary or like biological standpoint. And I've always thought this way, and I will probably continue to think this way. If you're someone who's being bullied, you kind of like to learn to stick up for yourself, or like learn to have more confidence in yourself. Bullying in America, or like the Mean Girls of America, bruh, it's really not that bad. I don't ever see in K-dramas. I don't know what happens in other countries, what bullies are like. American teenagers have gotten so soft these days because of social media. Literally anything offends people and makes people be like, oh, I'm being bullied. I feel like if you are being bullied, it's gonna help you grow up and be a stronger person, have your foot in life because of your experience.
Now, basically everything that she's saying, no. And this is coming from somebody who was bullied. We were bullied throughout our childhood. I am created because we were bullying. I, as a part, was created to deal with the bullying. And it was really hard growing up because back in the 90s, we had a very different idea of what bullying was. You know, it was being pushed into a locker, being thrown into a trash can, being shoved on the ground, having your books thrown out of your hands, you know, very physical stuff. And we didn't talk about bullying that's more insidious and more hidden and passive and embedded in social interactions. And this tends to be how bullying happens for girls. It's very psychological. And while we were going through it, we didn't have a word for it because nobody was calling that bullying. The bullying started when we were in second grade. We moved from a school, it was a private school. We were in a small class and we were pretty well liked among our classmates, to another private school that already had their established cliques. And it was our first time having to be put in a new environment like that. And we made friends with somebody who would be nice to us one day and then treat us like crap the next. Like, one day we would be hanging out with her and the next day she would be making fun of us for being poor. And we didn't really know what to do with that. We didn't have many friends, and she was one of the more popular kids. I mean, as popular as you could be in a small private school, but she was deemed to be like cool, right? And I learned that friendship looks like that. It looks like one day everything is fine and the next day they make you cry. And I had a friend that was especially nice to me, but sometimes I didn't treat her very well, because on the days that the cool friend actually wanted anything to do with me, then I would hang out with her and ditch my other friend who was there for me all the time, because I didn't have a sense of what true friendship is supposed to be. Plus, we were really young, so it's really hard at that time to really put too much judgment on it. But going through school, the bullying got worse. It would get so bad that it was a school on a church property, and my mother worked at the rectory. I would have such panic attacks from the bullying that they would send me to her office, and I would have to use her inhaler because I was gasping for breath and couldn't get air into my lungs. Like, that's how upset I was. And that really kind of cemented social interactions for me, and I didn't really let people in. I held people at like an arm's length. And So we moved schools in 5th grade, and we did have one instance of bullying that was more physical. I don't remember the teachers ever doing anything about it. We were sexually harassed. In 5th grade, we weren't believed when we first brought it up. And then when a group of us who were all victims of the same kid finally went to a teacher together, that was when something was finally done and he was expelled. But what really got under our skin was just the girl politics that happened in school and how mean girls can be to each other. And for example, there was a kid in class that we liked, right? And our friends told us that he wanted to talk to us after school. So, school lets out and we head to the classroom to go talk to him like we thought was supposed to happen. He goes racing out of the classroom and our friends are laughing because it was a joke. He didn't like us. He didn't have anything to say to us. I learned pretty thoroughly not to trust other people. We would continue to get bullied in middle school. At one point, we were spending our snacks in the bathroom and spending our lunches in one of the teachers' rooms, because not only did we not have any friends because of the bullying, but there was one particularly cruel set of girls that would follow us around and taunt us. And so we would hide from them in the bathroom in the teacher's room. Things would get better the next year when we would make some friends and finally find like a core group to be with. And I wouldn't say that we were bullied after that. It was just more the typical teenage girls being teenage girls. But I wanted to go over all of that to say that what we experienced when we were younger left a lasting effect on us. We don't open up to friends. We have learned to make it look like we're being an open book while keeping all of the really important stuff to our core and not sharing that, because we don't trust people to be consistent. We don't trust people to stay around. We are used to friends suddenly deciding that they don't want to be friends with us anymore. And so we are always waiting for the other shoe to drop. So we don't trust friendships to last. And it also makes us very passive in friendships. We are afraid to really argue or express different opinions because we're afraid that that's going to get us ostracized. And just really a lack of trust, a lack of any feeling of safety. And it really, I think, added to our anxiety as a whole, and obviously affected the DID because it's the whole reason I split. And to say that bullying is needed, the lessons that bullying taught us were not necessary life lessons. Like, no kid should have to learn those lessons. And this person also goes on to say that you're pathetic if you are letting things from high school still bother you in your 20s.
Your foot in life because of your experience. Unless you dwell on it for 4 years after high school, then that's just kind of sad. But if you're still dwelling on that from 5 years ago, high school doesn't matter at all. You're 22, you really need to get a grip and focus on your priorities in life rather than dwelling on the past, which is crazy to me.
We are 38 years old and we are still dealing with the ramifications of being bullied in school. It's not pathetic. It is trauma, especially if you don't have someone to go to comfort you during the bullying. We would get bullied at school and then we would come home and we didn't have any kind of respite. We didn't have anyone to comfort us or, tell us how unfortunate it was and that this isn't the way that friends should be. We would honestly come home and get bullied by our siblings. So when you are experiencing those things and you don't have a stable environment to fall back on, it leaves scars, and those scars are long lasting, and you're not pathetic if you are continuing to be affected by them, no matter how old you are. And it's very clear that this girl was the bully and not the one being bullied. And that's why she's able to be so blasé about it. And it's rough because you always kind of hope that the bullies will eventually learn their lesson and eventually learn like that what they did caused a lot of harm and the effects that it can have on people. But this is an example of a bully that grew up to continue to bully, even though she doesn't realize that's what she's doing. And I would just say that what's really pathetic is to be in your 20s and still treating people as if you're a teenager. So yeah, we just really wanted to touch on this. It's really important to us. It's something that we don't talk about a lot because we, as with most of our trauma, we kind of like, we're like, oh, well, it wasn't as bad as some of the things that other people went through, but it was bad enough to affect us. And I think that it's important that we continue to fight against bullying and bring it into the public conversation, because especially with the internet these days and cyberbullying, our kids don't deserve this. And I hope that if you have children, that you talk to them about the things that are going on at school so that if they are being bullied, you can help them. That's all we have to say on the topic. You know, let us know down below if you feel comfortable sharing what some of your experiences have been, or maybe how you've dealt with the ramifications of bullying. That is still something that we are dealing with. We haven't really ever really addressed it. But until next time, take care and stay well. Bye.